The world of fintech is starting to feature more prominently at these international gatherings like WEF and COP28. Exness is a major operator in the sector and has big plans for its own sustainable future. With more than 500,000 clients and growing, Exness says it wants to be at the helm of progress going forward. I sat down here in Dubai with Bunce, Chief Customer Officer. So, Damien, a COP28 considerably larger than any of the previous gatherings, and that's clearly down to the private sector taking a bigger interest and joining the decision makers at this conference. A lot of clients have told us that what they're looking for is inspiration from other companies, but also looking to see where their sustainability agenda is compared to other people's. How does that land with you?
Well, I mean, that's obviously a very, accurate statement. I mean, I think, we have, a huge existential crisis taking place on the planet, and, companies, individuals, across the private and public sector need to play their role, and we're here, to learn more, to explain what we're doing in our industry, to, do our bit to improve the situation.
Well, let's take this to the studio and talk in a bit more detail, shall we? Damien, great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Pleasure.
First of all, tell us a bit about Exness Global.
Yeah, well, Exness, we're a market leader in our field. We were formed in 2008. We primarily work in the trading industry, so we're providing products and services for active traders, those that want to buy foreign exchange or gold or silver or equities, and they trade on our platforms, globally, electronically.
Okay, and so why is sustainability and climate change action particularly important to Exness?
Well, we want to be at the helm of our industry, in terms of technology and innovation. Of course, in our industry, we want to play our role in terms of making sure we are, helping with climate change where we can and playing our role. And our industry, is heavily involved in the use of data centers and things like that. And so, we have emission targets that we want to, get on top of. And there are ways that we can do that. We just think it's a responsible thing to do.
So to that end, what kind of practical measures are you putting in place, or have you already put in place?
Well, we have measured. In fact, we spent time this year measuring what our carbon footprint is. We know exactly in tons what our CO2 output is as a company. Both those that we affect directly and indirectly through our employees. So we've done our calculations, and next year we're going to be looking at seeing how we can offset, those emissions through carbon offsets, etc. So, we're on top of it. We have a department that's focused on that.
How does fintech interact with sustainability?
Well, I mean, there's lots of intersections. I mean, for one example, as I mentioned earlier, fintech are big consumers of data and computers, and therefore, when we look at, for example, data centers, we go for providers that are committed to powering things through, wind turbines, for example. We look at the credentials of providers of technology to make sure that they, are trying to meet certain targets. In addition to that, if you think about the fintech industry, obviously it's driving things like paperless technology. We don't have systems out there that rely on printouts of paper and things like that. And fintech plays a role in things like crowdfunding of renewable projects and a host of other areas where our industry, the trading industry, can play its part.
With that crowdfunding initiative and stuff like that, does that suggest that your clients are bringing a kind of sustainable ambition to the table when they do business with you?
Well, I mean, our clients in particular are largely retail, so we don't see that coming from retail so much. Of course, people are care about it, but our providers, mainly the businesses that we use that are providers for us, are the ones that obviously come with sustainable targets, and they're the ones that we check and we care about.
A lot of your operation is out of Cyprus, I understand. I mean, tell us a bit about your collaboration with the Cyprus Department of Forests and what kind of action has come out of that.
Well, you would have probably read in the news. Unfortunately, back in 2021, in July 2021, Cyprus was wrecked by wildfires that took out villages and forests, etc. Exness, we are a big member of the community there. We played our role. We invested in fire ambulances, which we gave to the fire department there. We also set up an interesting drone system for early detection. So we have a fleet of drones that are surveilling the land for early signs of wildfires. And then we've built an operations centre that essentially activates fire departments if we see worrying signs. And as part of that, we've been heavily involved with the forestation projects to rebuild trees or replant trees. And I think, like other companies, many parts of the world, we do our part for the seas as well. So we have teams of people in our community department, actively cleaning the beaches, divers going down, taking rubbish from the bottom of the oceans. In terms of these are just some of the examples of things that we do around sustainability and climate.
I mean, that suggests quite a strong community-style relationship between your operation and the community around you in Cyprus. I mean, are there other areas, other parts of the world where you're starting to sink roots and become part of the community?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the right thing to do. Particularly in Cyprus, where we are a very, very large employer. But we also have offices in Malaysia and in Uruguay and in South Africa, and in all of those parts, we're involved in various initiatives. Some of them very similar to those in Cyprus. In some areas, it's related to, say, education. Like in South Africa, we provide grants for students, etc. And just generally awareness around technology to make, if you like, investing and trading an opportunity for more people around the world.
That's quite a big spread, actually, if you're going as far as Latin America or over to Southeast Asia as well. Mm-hmm. And presumably there's a fairly diverse workforce within that operation for Exness. Is there an ethos of doing good for the community that's shared through all those different hubs?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely there is. I mean, we are a very diverse community. We're roughly, I think, 2,500 employees now. So we are spread around the world, from, I think, about 180 different nationalities. But we feel, as a company, one of our principles is that we are good, ethical people, and it's the right thing to do. And that's, certainly we make investments. As I said earlier, we built a community department. Within that community department, we have a CSR initiative, which is actively investing in, good initiatives, all around the world. Some of them are related to climate and sustainability. Others are, as I said, education or other charitable work.
Presumably started in 2008, so you've still got an idea towards more growth perhaps. What are the ambitions you have at the moment for Exness?
Well, in fact, we have been on a huge growth trajectory, and whilst we continue to want to grow in new countries, new products, etc., we're in a period for the next couple of years of consolidation. So we're not looking to add new headcount unless we have a very strategic growth area. Which is already consolidating our market share, consolidating our position, improving our risk management techniques, etc.
Also gives you a chance to take a beat and perhaps look at your own long-term sustainability goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a breather and look at our company overall, our impression in the industry, how we continue to improve our brand and our image, and do the right things.
Damon, thanks very much indeed. Great stuff. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Andrew.